Food in my mouth. So when I speak, all they shine off in my teeth, light up nouns. That's a person, place, or things where I'm diverse in ways I bring. Bells of manna with country grandma, sweet as a tangerine. I follow a Nazarene, but I still might paint the
Let's give it
Hyundai
up for
candy. Cause
Toby.
I'm modest, but
Toby
be honest, I
Cornwall.
got more sauce than shrimp scampi.
And this
I go
is
ape,
I
I
Got
go
the
chimpanzee
Juice,
on
one of my
every beat that
favorite
they hand me.
songs.
I've been branded as the man who gon' handle my hood advancement out the
Definitely used
slum.
to mess
I
with
ain't
Paul Wall
never
back in the day.
got to be perfect, but
And I
my
just went
head
to a
got
concert this weekend and it was amazing. Toby, I don't want to mess his last name up. Mwigwe is out of Nigeria, but he grew up in Alief, Texas, and he is one of the best upcoming rappers that I have ever experienced his music and felt like, oh my God, this is a breath of fresh air. So the concert this weekend I took my children to, it was all ages and they were like the youngest kids in the club. It was so crazy. But they enjoyed themselves and they absolutely had a great time. We got to meet the team and experience the music. The energy was powerful. I've never been in a concert and I felt so connected to the artist and their message that they presented. It was just amazing. So definitely want to, he's the artist spotlight, and I definitely want to always give him props. Him, Linnell Grant, Toby, call me Fats. That's his wife. And baby Fats, that's his child. He's also expecting another child. And they are a beautiful family, beautiful union. And they are going across the United States doing a tour right now. And it is great. I actually might want to go to Minnesota to see them as well. So hopefully I get a chance to see them again. But let's get into today's show. Today I'll start with current events. And my artist spotlight is Toby, of course. Probably will always be Toby. But okay, I started listening to Toby about let's say a little over a year. And I came across this song called The Originals, and it was him. They weren't married then, but his wife and the producer is Nail. And like I said, he's Nigerian, Nail's African American, his wife's African American, and they collectively put together this group of amazing artists, and they have great dancers. They have the Black Angels, who my children were able to meet, and they were so awesome. They were so beautiful. And what I love about his group is he really embraces blackness, but he doesn't single out other races. When I say this was the first time where I seen other, like, all races enjoying themselves. You got white, blacks, Puerto Rican, Haitians, Africans. I had an Asian couple right next to me. Mother and daughter. It was everyone there, and they were actually singing the lyrics, enjoying themselves, feeling the spirit that was in the room, and it was just great. So I want to give it up for Toby. And Toby called me Fats. That's his wife. I love her so much. And their family and Nail is awesome. Almost feel like that's my twin because she's just so artistic. She's so amazing at what she does, and I feel like it was nice because I didn't mess with R&B music for a long time, especially rap for a long time. So being able to hear an artist come out with some truth and positivity in their music that not only I can listen to but my children can listen to was amazing. And I'm so glad to be able to take my kids to a concert. There's no profanity, there's no obscene movements, there's everything was clean, and it was just great. So I wish them well and success on their tour all across. Oh, there's another amazing fact about this guy and his group is that he isn't signed by any major big producing company. He's on his own. He's done everything on his own, with his team, and they're doing it all on their own dime. And I respect that so much because when you have to sign on a contract with certain big labels, you have to sign a contract and go by the rules and regulations of what's stated. So he has more creative input in what his music and his entertainment presents on stage. So I definitely enjoy that. So let's get into current events. Current events. I wanted to touch on there is this trend that's going around. I think it's been in plan for some time now. And as of May of this year, they started doing this 4-day work week and 4-day schools, 4-day school week for children. And it started right now, there's over 560 districts in 25 states adopted the 4-day week. In Colorado leads the nation in school districts with 4-day weeks, with more than 60% of districts statewide adopting the model. And at first, I think that, oh, it's great. We have, it should have always been that way because I do feel like we spend a lot of time working and we don't get a lot of time to spend with our families and friends. And it causes a lot of stress and turmoil when you're trying to balance out everything with your life. But this is the problem that it presents. So if we have 4 days for our children and we have 4-day work weeks, who's covering that fifth day? Who's covering the productivity of that day? And what does that look like for our future? And it takes me back to iRobot. It takes me back to the technology that's being presented and everything that's going on in the world right now. And right now, I feel like people in the workforce are becoming obsolete and they don't need us anymore. And the more that we push for this freedom, and not saying that we don't need it because it is tough, but the more we push for this freedom, the less control we have in our normal lives. Um, and it's a catch 2020 because we want our people to be successful. We want our children to be successful. We want them to have a fair chance at fighting. But in the crazy, chaotic, competitive world that's presented with us, but it's like, do we really want robots to take over that fifth day? And what does that look for our children? What does that look like? So I want everyone to get in tune with what's going on around them. And I know right now this is the election time. I think yesterday was election day, and I know a lot of people will be upset, but I didn't vote then. I didn't vote last election, and I probably won't be voting in the future. And here's my reason why. I feel like until we get better candidates that are really for change, I'm done playing the games. I'm not going to pick the lesser of two evils. I'm not going to, oh, my ancestor fought for this, they fought for that. So I feel like I have to take the opportunity that's presented with me and choose. No, I feel like as people, we should stand together and say, absolutely not. This doesn't work for me. I don't like it. I don't accept it. And until you give me a better choice, I'm not choosing. I want something different and I don't want to play your games. So I know a lot of people have their opinions about that. I've gotten into so many conversations and conflict with people with the whole choosing, but it's my choice. Now, if my ancestors fought for my choice, then that's my choice. And I don't feel like I have to choose between the lesser of two evils. Two bads don't make one good. I'm sorry, especially if they're both not going to benefit me in any way. So I'd rather just sit out on that and kind of, I'm sorry. I work on a different frequency. So if I feel like what they're doing isn't going to affect me, is or will not affect me, depending on whether I vote or not, or I don't feel like my vote matters, especially nowadays. I don't really feel like our vote ever really mattered. I feel like it's all propaganda and they just want us to play this game and make us feel like we're included when we're really not. And I think people need to do more research and really find out, where is your vote going to? What are these people really doing? And Trump is a main reason why I feel like I knew Trump was going to win. And I just didn't want to play that game anymore. And if he's at a point now, I hate to say this, you guys, but I feel like Trump is going to win another election. And it doesn't matter how much you protest and you go against that. You don't have enough money and power to put him out of office because he's just a puppet in a face anyway. Then your vote really does not matter. And I'm sorry, I know people are not going to like that, but it's how I feel. And I have the right to feel that way. So I just I just wish people would get more in tune with what's really going on in our lives and really focus on, like a lot of people say, at least focus on the local politics and what's going on in your city and your area, and trying to change the judges, the Congress members and stuff like that, because if you don't change what's closest to home to you, then you really don't have a voice in the nationwide politics. So I really love that people are all for the vote, but at this point it looks like Kanye is going to win. And I hate to say that, but that's what's being used against us. And we love fame so much. We love the glitter, the lights, the luxurious lifestyle. We're so involved in that we're not really paying attention to how this is going to affect not only us, but our offspring, our children in the future. So I really wish that people would get more in tune with what the real agenda and the propaganda is and how will that affect you in the future. So you guys get out there and really start paying attention to not just what they're saying, but their track. Where have they been? What have they done? What have they done? And it's one thing, because I feel like people can be easily swayed when they come into a world that they're not too familiar with. Money rules the world, power rules the world. So how can you really feel like you have a voice in a society that doesn't care about you? That feels like if they put your needs first, then they're obsolete. So it's easy to feel like, oh, I want to change this so bad. But I feel like, at some point, we got to stand up and stop playing their game. So let's take this into image. And image, I don't want to say that image is everything, but in the society we live in right now, image has become everything. And it's put above everything, because when people perceive you and they greet you, you get what you get. You see me as who I am. They're gonna formulate their opinion and they're gonna go with that. So I just want to give some props to the people who are like, who struggle with that, but they tend to stick with their natural roots and they tend to stick with what their original beliefs are, versus going with the most popular opinion and going with the majority of what people do. So let's start with like natural hair care. I always talk about hair care, natural hair care, and how much there's been such a transition with that, and acceptance with that, but there's also a lot of backslash with that as well. Men like to say they want a natural woman, they love natural, but let's be honest, you're not going for those natural women when you're out in public. I notice a difference when I wear my hair natural and I wear my hair straight, or I wear a weave or whatever. So, and I talk to a lot of different women about this, and it's kind of sad that people are screaming natural, but they don't get that acceptance in day-to-day life, you know. Um, for the most part, I wear my hair natural. My children wear their hair natural, and I love it. But convenience doesn't always allow me to, because it is very, 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 very time consuming. And I try to give as many pointers as possible to a lot of different women and men as well, because I'm a stylist and I also style a lot of different men. And give them the great support that they need to help them feel confident behind their decision. And we have to do that as a community. And I'm not just saying it's just white people, black people, Puerto Rican, Haitian. It doesn't matter. And we have to learn till we get to a point where we're looking in the mirror without anything added and we accept who we are. Not to say that we can't put on makeup, we can't wear weaves, we can't do that. We just have to be comfortable in our own skin. We have to be able to step away from that at times and not shock, people. So I showed my dad the podcast and he still does not believe it's me. And he see me walking out the house today. He's like, who is this lady? And I laugh because I'm like, Dad, it's me. He's like, no, 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 no. You look like the woman off Scandal. And I'm like, nah, that's not the lady off Scandal. That's me. And it's kind of sad because I'm like, Dad, come on. You know, this is me. I see you every day. He's like, no. So I don't want to give the impression that I'm not comfortable with myself. I'm just a solace and I like changing it up. So I want people out there to feel okay. There's a lot of women who are not okay with changing it up. There's a lot of women who feel like they cannot come away from the weaves. There's a lot of women who feel like they have to be more to be accepted. And we have to change that because our girls are watching us, our daughters are watching us, our sons are watching us, and we're giving them the false impression that this isn't acceptable, that you have to do more, you have to be more in order to be accepted. And I don't want to do that to our generation because look at where we are right now. You know, there's so much our whole society is fabricated. We're living in an illusion that with these filters, especially with these filters, I don't really like the filters at all because it's too much. It's a little too much. Not to say they're not cute and they're not funny, but it's too much. And it's shocking to see someone with a filter and then you see them in real life and you're like, what the heck is that? Or who are you? This is not the same person that I seen online. And we have to get comfortable in who we are. But with that takes taking care of yourself. So we have to get to a point where we're taking care of ourselves and we're comfortable with who we are so we can continue to push that agenda because that falls back on the decisions we make, what we eat, our lifestyles, everything. Because if you're not comfortable with that and you feel like you need a filter for every time you take a photo and you're not comfortable with how you look, then it's going to be hard with making decisions in your life. You can't always hide behind a filter. And so I definitely want to give props to people who stand so firm on their beliefs. That is so refreshing. And all the time, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that I agree with or that everyone agrees with. And that's what makes it better because regardless of what you agree, you stand on something. And to be that firm in that, I can't do anything but respect who you are because I'm firm in what I believe and I expect people to respect that as well. So, um, carrying yourself out in public takes a huge toll on society. And we have to get to a point to where we like I'm complimenting women, especially when they're natural and just beautiful women when I see them out. And we have to learn how to do that. Women stop being so catty and so aggressive and so acting like you can't show another woman appreciation for who they are and what they represent. I love complimenting women. I love receiving compliments. Just think about how awesome that feels for someone to tell you, "Hey, you got a nice hairstyle. Love that. Love that dress you have on. You look really great." And we have to learn how to lift each other up, especially nowadays when you feel like everything is an illusion. Everything isn't what it seems to be. And people are dysfunctional and they feel that they can't be themselves because society won't accept that. And we have to get to a point where we're above that and we're okay with being us because our children are seeing that and our children are duplicating that behavior and we don't want that. So I just want everybody to kind of get into the spirit of really learning who you are as a person. I think we're so far gone on what we're doing nowadays that we don't even realize that our children are sitting, you know, it's sad when you have a kid just constantly looking at themselves. Like my daughter, she's like, "Mom, I have bumps on my face. Mom, my hair is this. My mom, my skin looks like this." And somebody said this to me, and I have to constantly bring them back like, "Sweetheart, take them to the mirror like, look, you're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You cannot look at yourself and see what other people see." People will always bring that out of you when they're not comfortable with themselves because especially when you operate in a high self-esteem and you're confident in who you are, it's easy for somebody to want to bring that down because they don't feel that way. Even if they appear that way, they might not feel that way. So they like, who does she think she is? Let me knock her off her pedestal. Let me knock him off his pedestal. He's too confident. Now, not let's not get that confused with being cocky because there is a difference, but confidence is something that we should exuberate from within. And we have to model that for our children. They need to know what that feels like. Um the image that we present to our children, to our family members, we just have to be a little bit more positive. We have to get to a point to where we're encouraging each other a little bit more and learning how to take positive criticism and apply it. Nobody wants to hear that they're doing bad. And that's okay. But sometimes you need to hear that you're doing bad in order to become better. And that's okay, especially from people that love you. And I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm not saying that I don't like to hear criticism. I'm sensitive. So you kind of got to be careful how you present things to me. But I will accept it. I might not My first reaction might not be the best, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to think about that, and then I'm going to apply some changes. It might take me a little bit of time, but I might come back and be like, "You know what? You were right." And I thought about it, and I don't like that about myself. So it's something that I need to change. So I think as a people, we need to, and I say people, and when I say as a people, I'm not saying black people, I'm not saying white people, I'm not saying, African people, I'm not saying anyone in general. I'm saying as a people because we have to learn how to unite as one body in Christ. We have to learn how to do that. So let's get to the point where we're confident in ourselves, we're able to spread that love to the next person. And as we're doing that, we start to see the growth and change with each other. And it's so beautiful. It's so positive. It's so amazing. And I'm going to lead this into talking about relationships and the relationships that we have. I'm going to get a little personal dealing with this one. The relationships, and I'm learning at a adult age. I just turned 38 years old. Yes, I'm 38. And I'm learning how to cultivate relationships. And it's so easy to fall back into habits that we have learned along the way. We're so comfortable with. And it's hard to turn away from, hmm, it's hard to turn away from that comfort to what you're used to and try something different. And my relationships with people have come a long way. And I noticed that the more you start to work on yourself, the smaller and smaller and smaller that circle gets around you. When you're constantly pleasing people and doing things for the comfort of others, you see so little of yourself. It's almost like you're blinded to who you are at that moment. And I've been doing that for years. I didn't even realize that I was doing it. I just thought, I love my friends. I love my family. I want everybody to be happy. So I would silence who I was at certain points. Now, I'm not saying I'm silence everything, but there were certain things that I would silence in order for their approval. But then that would take effect in other areas of my life. So I'm getting to a point to where I have to apply change with me first. And with that comes saying no. And when you say no, you get a whole different reaction from people. And you might lose a lot of people. And I think that's the hardest part is that you risk losing people when you say no, but you gain yourself. And with that you gain your esteem, you gain, I don't want to say prideful in that manner of being negative, but you gain a different sort of pride. Like I said no and I feel comfortable with that. And you start to realize that it's okay to say no. Because when you say yes to everything, you allow everything in and then you start to lose yourself. And I have fallen victim to this so many times over and over and over again. And I want to get to a point to where I'm comfortable with saying no. And you have to be comfortable in saying your no. You have to say, you know what? If it's and this is getting personal, whether it's going out with friends and someone asking you to do something, and people don't always realize what you have going on in your life, because I have a very 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 busy schedule and I don't always say what I have going on. And you don't have to give a full detailed layout of what you got going on in order to say no. Your no should be enough. And you can be firm and you can be positive. It doesn't have to be negative, like, nah, I don't got time for that. You can just be like, no. Somebody asks you to go out. I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm sorry, I can't. No, but you guys have a good time. And you have to practice. I literally had to get in the mirror and start practicing. "Mm, no, 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 no. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry." There's so many different ways to say no. And we have to get comfortable with saying no. Because people, I'm not saying they don't care about you, but people are so caught up in what they're going through at the time that they don't understand that you got stuff going on too. You have a life, you have bills, you have children, you have a spouse, you have business, you have whatever it is going on in your life. And sometimes, guess what? I just don't want to do it. I'm tired. I've had a long day and I got other stuff to do. And I want people to really start examining what they're doing and being able to take that me time out. Because if you don't take that me time and you're doing for everyone else, you get to a point where you're overexhausted, you're overwhelmed, then the people who are closest to you, like your children, your spouse, they start to feel the effect of that. And I've risked too many relationships in my life with the people who are closest to me feeling the burden of me not saying no to other people, that it's caused some drift in our relationships. My brother and I, we have a pretty close relationship. Anthony, he just told me this. We just had a good conversation yesterday. And he said that, Risa, you have to learn how to say no and you have to be okay with that. And you can't always live up to people's expectations of you. There's so many times where I just want to do. Even when people don't even directly ask me and they just talk about things, my first thought is, what can I do to fix this problem? There's a lot of people who are out there who are fixers and they just want to fix, 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 fix. And that's okay. But if that fixing leads you into a deficit and you can't do for your own household, you can't do for yourself, and you have no more energy to pull from within yourself, you can't do that. You have to say no, because you have to prioritize what goes on in your life. When it comes to relationships, ladies, when men are asking you to do things and you feel uncomfortable with, say no. Because guess what? They're going to tell you no. When you ask for money and you might need it, you might not necessarily be a gold digger. You might just, I really need $200. I really might be going through a tough time right now. And it might be really hard for me to ask for money, but I did. And people are so quick to tell you no. They're quick to say, you know what, I'm just not able to help you. They don't care nothing about your situation. So you have to think about that when you get to a point where you're saying no and you're okay with that. And you're putting back into yourself. Because when you're doing, you're taking away from that pot that tends to grow, where you're investing in yourself and you're getting things situated and you're growing financially, spiritually, emotionally, psychologically. You have to pull from some source. And a lot of times we have nothing to pull from because we're so exhausted doing everything for everyone else. So I want people to take a greater look into their own selves and their lives and really practice saying no. This has been a struggle for me all my life. But I'm starting to realize that me not saying no is affecting relationships equally as bad as just doing it and not caring how it affects my children. Because at the end of the day, if it affects my children in a negative manner, then screw it. I messed up and I can't continue to do that. Our relationships with our parents, I wanted to hit on this and talk to certain parents because I grew up in the foster care system. I was a state ward. I really, not to say it lightly, but I really feel like the original Black Annie. And I really lived that life. And I think a lot of parents are out here just doing, and they don't realize how their actions affect their children, especially when they get up in age. So, parents, be cautious of what you put into your children and realize that at some point in your life, you're going to get old and you might need some help. And you have to, are you putting into your children enough sacrifice and dedication and love and nurturing to the point that they're going to be able to give you that when you get to a point where you're not able to care for yourselves? I'm caring for my father right now, and a lot of times it gets difficult. It gets difficult because he didn't put that time and effort into me when I was growing up. And I battle with that all the time. And I battle with it because I'm spiritual and I feel like I have to do what God told me to do. And I have to do what's right, regardless of how I feel about it, regardless of what people tell me. What would God want me to do? And I try to do what's best for the situation. But when you're giving grudgingly and it comes off. It comes off. And I think that's what me and my father deal with right now is me giving grudgingly. Yes, I'm doing it, but you're going to hear about it. Yes, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to do what needs to be done, but you're going to hear about it. You're going to feel it. You're going to feel some sort of tension. And I'm working on that with myself because I don't want to give grudgingly. I don't care in any situation. I want to be a happy giver. And I find myself giving to a lot of situations and then thinking about it later, like I shouldn't have done that. So going forward, I'm just either not going to do it or I'm going to pray about it before I decide to give to another situation. And I want to pray for the parents out there who are doing excellent for their children because a lot of people didn't have that. They're pulling from a source of overcompensation of what they didn't have growing up. And so, as a community, we have to stand together and we have to get to a point where we're investing into our children's lives to make them better individuals, to make them better citizens, to make them better people so they make better quality decisions, not just for us, but for the people that affect their lives and that are in their lives as well. I have to think about every decision that I make is not just for me, but it's for my children, whether they know it or not. And every decision that I make is for my father, whether he appreciates it or not. And I can't be mad about it or angry because of how I was raised and what I lacked. I have to just do it because that's what God wants me to do. And that's where I'm going to receive my blessings from. I can't expect my father to bless me like God is going to bless me. I can't expect my children to bless me how God is going to bless me. I have to just do it because that's what God asks of me. That's what God expects of me. And I can't even expect God to bless me because of what I'm doing. I have to just do it because I'm working on who I am. I want to become a better person and I want to feel good doing it. I believe the purpose of, especially the stronger individuals, is for us to give. It's for us to give. It's not for us to receive. We do receive, and I thank God for the blessings that we do, but we have to get to a point where we're comfortable in that. Like, God, bless me with this, because there's a lot of things that I got that I couldn't thank anyone for but God. That it came out of the drop dead smack. Like, I only pray to one person, I only pray to one entity. And for me to receive it, I have to know that God is real. So we have to get into a space that get off of the roles that we have in life and get into the people and what they mean to you. And you can't put people on a fast track and expect them to do or give back to you because of what you invested into them. I have been sadly mistaken of that, especially dealing with men. Ladies, stop thinking you can change people. Stop thinking you can change men. Men, stop thinking you can change women just because of you giving so much and I see so much of potential. You can't give to somebody's potential. If they don't want to do better and they don't see what type of value you have in their lives, leave that situation. And I don't say leave it because um you don't care about them or you think you can do better. You can do better and it's okay to feel that way. And it's okay to put into people that need it, but when you want to appreciate a situation and you feel um reluctance with that situation or that person, then it might take away from you and it might damage you for the next person that's coming in that needs that help, that really needs it and appreciate it. So you have to be at a point in your life where you're like, okay, I love you, but I just got to kind of step back because it's taking too much away from me. And I just want to say, love those who are around you and also give accordingly to what God is telling and pulling your heart to do. And I'm going to lead into finances. And I always want to hit on finances because it's such a huge issue in our community, in our homes, in our lives. And I don't feel like people are really taking a real stance on getting a hold of their finances and budgeting their money. And it's so important. We have gotten so comfortable with this credit thing. And we have to get to a point where it's like, okay, I don't want to rely on credit. I want to be able to have it there if I need it to use it, but I can't rely totally on credit. I talked last week on setting up an emergency fund. And one of the guys that I listen to a lot is Dave Ramsey, and he talks a lot about emergency fund and the baby steps and getting into a point where you're able to save and invest properly and teach your children that. I have savings accounts for my children. Um, I make sure that they are well in knowledge about what to do with their money to the point where they talk to me about it. They'll say, "Yeah, mommy," like we went out last week. Well, mommy, they'll say stuff like, "You know what? We need gas for school, so we don't need this. So let's not do that." And when you see your kids start to take notice of the bills that you have, because we communicate about stuff like that, then it's refreshing to know that they care. Now, if you never talk to your kids about your finances, how will they know? How will they you expect them to take them into the store? They of course they think you have it all because you've always given them all. You've fallen short to your circumstance because if you didn't have it growing up, you do not want them to feel that way. So I think sometimes, a lot of times, a lot of parents overcompensate with their children because they don't want them to feel what they felt growing up. But you just have to make sure that you teach them to be responsible with their money and that you're telling them, like, hey, this is our budget. I think it's okay to set a budget with your children. My children know we have a budget. And once that is over with, it's over. It's done. Don't ask me for nothing extra. I don't care if it's a lollipop. I don't care if it's ice cream cone. Is that budget? Okay, yeah, the budget's gone. All right, let's move on. And teaching them how to save. My kids got we went to church one Sunday and it was on finances and they got $5. And it's so cute and funny to see my kids. They bring their money straight to me. Now they might talk amongst it like, no, 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 we want to keep this, we want to go to the store, but they'll bring their money straight to me. And I know with a lot of children, they'll take their money to their parents and then they never see it again. And I try to teach my children that I want you to see where this money is going. I show them their bank account. I show them where their money is going. I show them that you can do better, you can save, and you don't have to be and live like I did. You don't have to make these sort of sacrifices for your life if you want. If we start now, I teach my children about scholarships. My children have known about scholarships since they were 4 or 5 years old. When your children want to do something, like your child comes to you and says they want to be brain surgeons, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm a hairstylist. Where am I going to get the money for them to become brain surgeons? Where I automatically think about finances. But I had to sit down and have a real conversation with my children like, okay, this is what it costs. They're like, "Oh God, mommy, that's a lot of money." Okay, how do we get it? And then I start to talk to them about scholarships. So from first grade and up, we've talked about, in order for you to get scholarships, guess what? You have to keep up your grades. You have to be there, you have to be on time, you have to pay attention. There's certain things that you can do so when you get to that point later on in life, it won't be so hard. So we talk a lot about scholarships, we talk a lot about saving, investing. My kids are so funny. They gave me some money. They was like, "Mommy, buy some bundles." They know mommy's in the hair game. They're like, "Mommy, buy here. I'm gonna invest this $5. Mommy, you gonna bring me back 10?" Yes, baby, I'm gonna bring you back $10. And they love to see their money grow. So we got to get into a point where we at least start some sort of investment for your children so they can see that money grow so they will respect that. And if you are a business owner, like I have sometimes in the past I've had my children ring up the sales for me so they can see what that feels like so they understand the inside of a business. And we have to be at a point where we're sharing a little bit more of our finances with our children, not because we feel obligated to, but we should be feel obligated to. We should invite them in. I know there's certain things that we should and shouldn't do around our children, but there are certain things that we should and that we should hold them privy to our information. Not necessarily every dollar amount, which I do. I sit down and I talk to my kids how much is rent, how much is food, how much is car, how much is insurance, and they're like, "Whoa, mommy, that's a lot." So before they come to ask me about things, they take that into consideration. and they talk amongst themselves, and they figure out before they come to me, what can we afford? What can we not afford? So I love that my daughters are like that. I appreciate that so much. And we have to learn how to spend, save, and give. And also, tithing if you believe in God and all of that. Learning how to give to the church or whether it's to people. I try to budget out how much I give to people. You have to budget that as well. A lot of times I don't take into consideration when someone comes or not even comes and asks me if they need something. I might not even take into consideration of what I have going on and I just give it. But I can't do that all the time because if I have something going on and I give it to you, then it's going to cause a negative in my life. And then I'm going to have to fall short on something. Now I can't afford something. And I'm not always in a position to do that. If I am, great, you got it. I got it, you got it. But if I don't, just understand that I got stuff going on too. And our spirituality, dealing with our finances has to match. It has to match where we are. And education, making sure that you're putting in enough education with your children that they understand how to spend their money. And also, parents, we have to I know a lot of things, like I've said before, that, convenience, we do things out of convenience dealing with relationships, spirituality, finances, and education. And at some point, if you're expecting your children to give or take care of you, later on in life, you have to invest more into their education so they have the proper tools in order to do so. And there's nothing wrong with taking certain sacrifices in your life in order to provide a better education to your children. And it's sad when parents have had a better education and they don't take that same um, effort and step in their own children's lives. And I'm going to touch on my own situation. I grew up in foster care. I feel like I was smart enough to go to better schools. I remember asking my foster parents, like, "Hey, I want to go to this charter school." I didn't even know it was a charter school at the time. I just knew that that school was better than the school that I was going to, private school or whatever. And I was told no because I was in foster care. And being told no all the time because of your circumstance that you didn't necessarily sign up for, it's heartbreaking. And I never want my children to feel that way. But being in a relationship or having children by someone who had better opportunities and had better education, as far as my situation, it's sad when they don't show up and show that same effort in their children's life. And ladies, don't get discouraged if that guy or that man, that you had children by, isn't stepping up and helping with homework. Homework is big. Parent teacher conferences, um, involved in a lesson plan, and but they want to take credit for when your children are doing well. I remember one time, uh, a couple people came to me and they said, my children's father is an engineer. And I grew up in foster care. I'm a hairstylist. And this is just the truth of what it is. And couple of people have come to me in my life and they say, well, at least he's smart, and you have to think, be thankful for that your children will be smart as well. Excuse me? Did you just tell me that because my children's father is smart, that my children will be smart and that I have to be thankful for that? Absolutely not. Not when I'm here every day and I'm choosing their lesson plan. I'm choosing their school. I'm making sure that their homework is done, and I'm putting forth every effort to make sure that they are able to receive the best education, not him. So yes, you can be the smartest person in the world, but if you're not investing in that, and you're not putting yourself in an environment where you can grow, which I wasn't given that same opportunity. But I do know how important that is for my children. So we have to take the focus off of the relationships that aren't progressive to our children's education and well-being, and make sure that it happens regardless of people's opinion on that and how they feel. Some people might feel like I do too much, like I drive 40 minutes every morning to take my children to school. And I also make sure that my children are have everything else they have going on in their lives. So it makes a difference to me when someone gives credit to another individual that's not there at all. So I would like to just say to the mothers who are single mothers and they put forth so much effort into their children's education, I give you the utmost respect because it's a lot. It's not easy putting your child in a financial institution because it's not easy. It takes a lot of diligence. It takes a lot of involvement, parent involvement when you put your child in a for an educational institution where they require more. And I just want to close out on giving thanks to the Most High. And a lot of people are in a place of turmoil in their lives. And I just want to reach out and say, you know what? At some point, if you don't have that space or relationship with a friend, a mate, that, you can just get some quiet space first and foremost. Get some quiet space in your mind, in your hearts, in your lives. If you got to go in the closet, literally, if you have to go into to the bathroom, literally, and close the door in order to quiet your mind and quiet your spirit so you can focus and shut out the noise. Sometimes it's so hard to shut out the noise in your lives and shut it out so you are able to focus on the I'm not even gonna say the most high. I do want to say the most high because that's what I believe. But whatever it is you believe on that, whatever power and strength that you believe to pull from that, whatever makes you a better person, whatever gives you that peace and that calmness, to pull from that and take a time to relax, relax, and say, you know what? I have to give this over to another source because it's too much for me to bear right now. So I want everyone to just look into their lives, look into their hearts, and get that peace because you cannot allow the world to drown you out with everything that's going on. So I want to thank you all for listening. I love you so much, and may you have a great day, great evening, great weekend. And make sure you tune in next time to Mother Nation on Live Uncatch. Have a great day. Bye.